on s'est adapté à son calendrier, parce qu'elle a des calendriers un peu chargés. Et ben, merci à Hugo de nous accueillir ici pour faire cette dégustation mixte Bourgogne-Italie. Voilà. Donc Mélissa est responsable de l'export chez Frescobaldi, une grande maison de Florence et enfin de toute la Toscane, puisqu'ils ont en gros quanti domaine, c'è la 7
9
9,
in
à 9, ça a augmenté. Il y en a 9 maintenant.
9 in Toscane.
Donc plus 1 dans le Frioul, donc ça fait 10 domaines. Quanti ettari?
1200.
Solo? No, ne da più.
1300.
Voilà, 1300 hectares.
Ah oui.
Bon, tout petit producteur.
Sono piccole tenute, quindi insieme fanno 1300. Però.
Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de petits domaines, mais qui sont tous rassemblés sous Frescobaldi. Alors on va commencer la dégustation par un blanc. Vuoi dire sul beneficio?
Posso parlare in italiano, mi aiuti tu?
Sì.
Io parlo in italiano, piano piano, niente, lui mi aiuta a tradurre un po'. Vado piano. Preferite inglese? Preferite inglese? Sì. Vado in inglese. Ok. If you don't understand, tradurre. Allora, Frescobaldi is one of the most ancient wine producing company. Wine producing family, sorry. They started 700 years ago in Italy, in Tuscany. And the story began all around Florence. They were a very famous family in the 14th century. They were bankers, poets, merchants, painters, and also wine producers. In the 14th century, they started producing wine. The modern era, let's say, started 150 years ago in Pomino, the first white wine that you have in the glass, Benefizio.
Ancora no, ma viene.
Ancora no. The first wine started in the mid of the 19th century. Why? The story is interesting because in Florence, in the 16th century, let's say during the Renaissance, there were three famous families in Florence. Frescobaldi, Medici, Lorenzo Medici, Cosimo de' Medici, very famous all around the world, and Albizzi. Medici and Albizzi were fighting together, and the Albizzi that were the owners of these lands, Nepozzano and Pomino, the first wine, were exiled in France. They established in France, in the south, and then the latest generation in the mid of the 19th century, 1800, they established in Burgundy. That's the truth. They lived here, I don't know precisely where, but they lived here 100 years. And then they came back to Florence. They were allowed after 350 years to come back to Italy, and they hadn't lost their properties. Leonia degli Albizzi, she was a very clever lady. She married Frescobaldi, Angelo de Frescobaldi. That's why now the family owns the properties. But the most important information is that Leonia Albizzi was a clever agronomist and winemaker. She was a woman, and it was not common at that time, at least in Italy, at all. And she started cultivating for the first time in Italy, all around Italy. It was the first time the grapes that she knew. So Chardonnay, Cabernet, Merlot, and some Pinot Blanc, and some Pinot Meunier that didn't work. But in Pomino, the first wine, that's the white wine, she started planting Chardonnay. Pomino is very high in altitude. Pomino is 700 meters, it's in the mountains. This map is very interesting because you understand how Tuscany is. So, this is Tuscany. As you can see, maybe. Okay. okay, later. Tuscany is quite wide, and we have the Apennines, the mountains in the western side, in the eastern side, in the internal side of the region, and the sea here, Tyrrhenian Sea. The mountains, what's happening? I can't believe it. Okay, Pomino, this estate, is here in the mountains, in the Apennines, northeastern part of Florence. Florence is here, and we are in the mountains. Pomino is a DOC, and it's the smallest Tuscan DOC and the highest in altitude. She noticed, Leonia, she noticed that she was allowed to compensate the latitude with the altitude, the latitude of Bourgogne with the altitude of Pomino. That's why she started planting this Chardonnay. She presented, this is just the story, but it's true. She presented this blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Blanc at the Paris Expo in 1878, and she won the gold medal for the best Chablis from Italy. That's stupid, but it's the truth. We still, not we, the family still owns the gold medal with the best Chablis from Italy, because she was a French lady. And then she tried for the first time, and then she abandoned during the First and Second World War. She passed away, of course, but she tried putting this Chardonnay into barrique. It didn't work at that time. But the family Frescobaldi, in the 70s, we are celebrating this year the 50th anniversary of Benefizio, 50 years. In 74, they launched 73 vintage, and it's the first, in absolute, the first Italian wine put for the first time in barrique for 9 months. 6 to 9, 6 to 8, 7 to 9, it depends on the vintages. Half new, half used, and if Pomino DOC is a fresh, aromatic and exotic and crispy wine, Benefizio is a creamy and has honey-like sensation, acacia, also dried apricots, dried orange peels, candied pills. It's more similar to a Burgundy style Chardonnay than an Italian wine, because in Italy they are fresher and crispy. And this is our Benefizio, which we are very proud of, and it's one of the most prestigious and particular Italian wines from Tuscany. Consider that Tuscany is a region of red wines. We cultivate red wines. All over the mountains, we cultivate Sangiovese, and we will have the chance to taste all these different Sangiovese styles. But here in the highest mountains, we still cultivate, after 170 years, Chardonnay. And you have the first example. How